Hi there, it's Riikka Kovasin here. Today I'm sharing a set of cards with you. These are done using the green bubble tea collection. I'm using the 12 by 12 paper collection for these and also the die cut ephemera pack. I'm starting by choosing the die cuts I want to use. I cut some of my own from the 12 by 12 sheet, but I'm adding things from the ephemera pack. First, I go through the ephemera pack. I'm going for a floral design for these cards, so I'm putting aside the characters and the succulents that are in the pack. I will continue this later when I'm not filming, so you don't have to see me go through all of the beautiful patterns. Then I turn my attention to the 12 by 12 sheets. I'm cutting two card bases, one horizontal and one vertical of the same paper. With this hard design, it does matter what direction I'm cutting because there's a way you can use that paper, but with the dark blue I'm going to then add underneath, kind of framing the hard patterned version. It doesn't matter because the pattern is almost the same, not depending on the way you look at it. I go through the edges of the pieces with my scissors, kind of distressing the edge, and then I use double-sided adhesive to adhere the pieces on top of each other. Next, I'm adding white heavy gesso on top. This is partly to hide that really contrasting pattern so that the emphasis of the card can be the florals coming on top. The other reason is priming the surface because I'm adding watercolor on top, so this way the paper doesn't absorb all the color immediately and I have more playtime with the color. I'm also kind of priming or coloring the little chipboard pieces I'm going to use in my cards. First I'm doing a layer of white embossing powder, and then on top I'm sprinkling just a little bit of pink, so there's a little bit variation to the color. These chipboard pieces are ID-137. I then heat dry the gesso layer and also melt the embossing powder to get my embellishments ready. Then it's time to add some color to the background. For that I'm using the watercolors like I mentioned before, and I'm going for the green or emerald looking colors of the collection. I'm mixing a couple of colors on top of the project and let the color pool in places. When I'm happy how that looks, I then take my heat tool and dry the layer. Next I'm adding some stamping on top. For that I'm using black Archival ink and a text or layer stamp. The stamp is ID-79. As you can see, I'm treating it like my background stamp and stamping repeatedly over the project, so you can't really read the letters anymore, but it's more like a texture, kind of just guiding the eye in for the focal composition. I did add some splashes with the watercolors earlier, but I think this needs a little bit of those pinks and purples that are visible in the florals to the background as well, kind of binding those two together. So for that I'm using acrylic paint. First I'm adding some purple splashes and then I'm mixing some pink in and using that. Then I again dry the project with a heat tool. Then it's time to build the actual composition. As the bottom layer I'm using a little piece of gauze and I'm adhering that to my base just from here and there, so it kind of stays airy and fluffy. Then I'm adding the chipboard piece on top, just using regular craft glue to adhere it. Then I start to add the flowers and leaves. For those I'm using foam tape together with the craft glue, because the foam tape I'm using, it's meant for just paper on paper, and this is so texturized, so I'm afraid that the tape itself wouldn't hold everything together, but I want that dimensional part of that. For some flowers I use the tape and some flowers I lay flat, so there's varying heights of the composition. I'm starting with the biggest flower and then kind of just adding things on to that, making a nice composition, flowing composition. When I have this first card done, I'm repeating the same process for the other one as well. Then it's time for the finishing touches. First, I'm adhering the focal points or the cards I've been making so far to white cardstock card bases. For that, I'm using just double-sided tape. Then I'm adding a text sticker on top, kind of the sentiment or the greeting for the card, and finishing with some epoxy round stickers, just kind of sprinkled here and there. And so the cards are done. Here's a couple of photos of the cards and some detail shots. I hope you liked the video. Please consider subscribing the channel and hit that bell sign to be notified every time there's a new video published. Thank you so much. Bye for now.